Hello, this is part 2 of the lecture for chapter 10. So here we were talking about in the middle of this discussion about this marginal propensity to save, MPS, right? MPS is defined as change in savings divided by change in income. So this will show us the proportion of change in income that is saved. So if our income increases by $1, what fraction of that increase are we going to save? That is what MPS tells us. So if we go back and start to calculate, so you see, let us say between row 4 and row 5, our savings increases from 10 to 15 between row 4 and row 5, and income increases 430 to 450, right? So change in savings is 5, change in income is 10, is 20. So divide and it becomes what? It becomes 0.25, right? So look at that, MPS is 0.25, marginal propensity to save, and from all over you have the same MPS, right, for all the other ones. And also for consumption, for MPC, marginal propensity to consume, it is 0.75, right? So for all over, right, for all the rows. Now what does that mean? MPC is 0.75 means that if income increases by $1, consumption will increase by $0.75, right? Alternately, for MPS, if income increases by $1, savings will increase by $0.25. And another, this is also true by definition, is look at that, MPC plus MPS equal to 1. So you add them, they will always be equal to 1. In this case, we can verify this from the table. 0.75 plus 0.25 is equal to 1, right? Okay. Now let us relate this MPC and MPS to the concept of what? Slope of the consumption curve and slope of the savings curve respectively. In the blue line, that is the MPC, is the slope of that blue consumption line. That blue consumption line is from here. Look at that blue consumption line. We reproduce this in here in the upper panel, and change in consumption is 15 for a corresponding change in income of 20. So 15 divided by 20, right? MPC. Look at that, change in consumption 15, change in income 20. So answer is 0.75, and that is the MPC, right? Look at that. We go back to this table again, 0.75, 0.75, see, all over. So now we know that MPC is marginal propensity to consume, and it is also equal to the slope of that blue consumption line, right? And what about that red savings line? MPS will be the slope of that red savings line, savings schedule. See, so MPS increases by, savings increase by 5, income increase by 20. 5 divided by 20 equal to 0.25, right? So that is disposable income. Now, amount of disposable income, what are the non-income determinants of consumption, right? So we know that consumption depend on disposable income, but what other non-income determinants also affect consumption? One is the wealth. See, wealth of a person will also affect consumption, right? If so if a person become more wealthy, he will consume more. If he has less wealth, his consumption will decrease. And also, events sometimes suddenly boost the value of existing wealth, right? Suppose this example, skyrocketing stock value in the US during the 1990s had a what? Had a had a wealth effect, right? And alternately, the when the stock market crashed in 2008, right? Alternately, of 2007, there was a what reverse wealth effect. So which means that what people invest in the stock market, but suddenly there is stock market crash and price of stocks come falling down. As a result, people have suffered from a reverse wealth effect. Suddenly people see that after the market crash, the size of their investment has decreased, right? And then they become less wealthy. As a result, they will then consume less, right? So if there is stock market boom, people become more wealthy, consume more. But if there is a stock market crash or stock market bust, bubble burst, then there is what? There will be a reverse wealth effect. Then the next determinant of consumption is borrowing, right? People can borrow and then consume, and they can consume more than their income by borrowing, and in which case they will have a what? They will have a this savings, negative savings. But there is no free lunch, because if you borrow more today, consume more today, then tomorrow those loans will mature. Then you have to pay back principal and interest together. Then tomorrow consumption will decrease, right? Because after paying the loan with the principal and interest, there will be less money left over for consumption. So borrowing has that effect. But if a person borrow and consume more, then this blue consumption line will shift up, because for every level of this disposable income, he is consuming more, right? Okay. On the other hand, if he consumes less, this line will shift below, right? Because then he's consuming less for every level of income. So let me see if I can show you that. Uh, so like this one. So when consumption increase because of so when consumption increase because of higher wealth effect, there will be a parallel shift. See that? Parallel shift. The line shifts up. For every level of disposable income, he is consuming more. On the other hand, if there is a reverse wealth effect, then what happens? This one, right? I need to. Okay. So then his wealth has decreased, and then he will consume less at every level of income. So consumption will decrease. See? Now, you see, if consumption increases, then savings will decrease. That is how it works. If people consume more out of their income, then they have less money left over to what? To consume. So their savings will decrease. And on the other hand, if their consumption decrease, they will have more money left over for savings. So in that case, their savings will what? Increase, right? Now please note all these shifts that I have shown to you, these shifts, right? And they will be parallel. So parallel shift. I cannot draw parallel in here, but the slope will not change. It will remain unchanged as this consumption line moves up or down, or the savings line move up or down, right? MPC, which is the slope of the consumption line, will not change, remain the same, but the line will shift, parallel shift, or similar for savings. So we have discussed those. Now the other expectations also is an important determinant of consumption. Expectations about future prices and income may affect present consumption. If you expect price of something to increase in the future, you want to buy more today to take advantage of the opportunity of buying at a lower price, then wait in the future when the price goes up, right? Also for income, if you expect income to increase in the future, you will probably want to what? Consume more today for these expectations of future income, right? And vice versa. Then the next determinant of consumption is what? Is real interest rates, right? Real interest rates. So it is the cost of borrowing money. So whenever we borrow money, we have to pay the principal and interest back, right? So interest rate is the cost of borrowing money. So when people want to, when interest rate is low, cost of borrowing money is low, so people want to borrow more money and consume, right? So interest rate goes down, consumption will go up, and vice versa, right? So when real interest rates fall, cost of borrowing money falls, becomes cheaper. So households tend to borrow more, consume more, and then save less. And as a result, what happens? As a result, we can say that looking back at this line, we can say that when interest rate goes down, people consume more. So we will have a situation like this, where the savings curve jump up, right? This ones in the upper panel. Oh, sorry, when the blue consumption line shifts up, people borrowing more money and consuming. And when the interest rate increases, real interest rate increases, cost of borrowing money goes up. So then they will do what? They will consume less. So the savings schedule will shift down and alternate for the lower panel, right? For the savings. Okay. Now, what about these are some simplifying assumptions that we want to make. This simplifying assumption tells us what? We now switch to real GDP. So far, we were talking about GDP and national income equal, but now the GDP we will consider from now on is real GDP. So this is GDP adjusted for inflation. Now then there is changes along schedules, right? So if income increases, consumption will increase. But if one of the any of the non-income determinants in change, like this wealth, interest rate, right? Wealth as and then interest rate skyrocket, expectations change, then the entire savings curve will shift. Savings and consumption curve will shift. It will shift up or down, right? Okay. And now, uh, and next is this we consider this simultaneous shift. This simultaneous shift is telling us what? The consumption and saving curve shift in different directions. As we have said to you before, if you consume more out of income, out of a given level of income, you save less. As a result, there will be a simultaneous shift in both the consumption and savings curve. When one goes up, the other will go down, and vice versa, right? Now, what about taxation? Taxation is important. If there is taxation, then what will happen? If there is taxation, shifts in the consumption and saving schedule in same direction, right? Not same. This is a typo. So if there is a tax, if there is tax or tax increases, people will have less disposable income. So they will consume less, and also because their income is after tax income is lower, they will be able to save less also. So in that case, both in case of taxation, both consumption and savings curve will shift down, right? In here, both of these will shift down, which means that for any level of disposable income, we are consuming less, also we are saving less. So here, this is an animated graph. So it will show you the shifts if you want. It will show you the shifts if you put in display mode. So when consumption goes up, so let me draw this again. Consumption C goes up from C0 to C1. This will be parallel shift. And also if consumption goes down, this from C0 to C2, this is what? Downward shift. See, it's going down. Similarly, when consumption increases, Savings, look, savings S0 will go to S2, S1, see, and consumption C2 will increase to what?